What's up guys, Azure here, and today we're gonna start with the Cleric build. I kinda made a poll last time and most of you use Cleric as a main healer. I did the poll because I noticed my Cleric build video was getting way more attention than the rest. I don't know if it's because a lot of players play Cleric or because I started as a Cleric. It's a very interesting number considering the state of the Cleric in the current meta. So yeah, I decided to start the Cleric. I actually bought the pieces that I need because I couldn't drop myself, which were the gloves and the boots, and see, gonna see how it goes. See if I can grab some pieces instead of buying them all to do the other builds. So we're starting with the stats. We're gonna go with the race. We're gonna go with the ASMR for the outgoing healing and the power, 2% of each. We still get like 2% incoming healing as well. We get 2% HP for us and the group members. So that's great. It helps them out a little bit. You could go with the Wood Elf, which is a free to play class because it gets you get 5% critical chance, which is really a pain in the ass to get the critical chance on the cleric. To be fair, I always find myself missing some. So you could go with those if you wanna max your stats. You could go with Drow to help with the debuffs. Renegade Drow as well for the same reason. You uh, between the two guys, they do two different debuffs. The Drow gives more offensive wise. I think you do 5% more damage to the target, and the Renegade Drow, it's like 3.5. Reduce the attack of the target and the defense by 3.5. So it's a little mix. Uh, all that matters is that depending on the players you normally play, for example, the tank that I play with goes with Drow. So if I decided to go with a debuff, I would go with the Renegade Drow. Try to think about that when choosing the debuff one. And the other option is the Dragonborn. It's a power and a critical chance. Yeah, for the attributes, you're going to go Wisdom for outgoing healing and Charisma for Forte and some recharge speed. I wouldn't go with Dexterity because we don't need critical severity. We get it from the Forte. We are above the cap already, so don't worry. Don't worry with that. Stat-wise, I don't normally do this on the builds, but I'll do it here anyway. So we do have right now 64.7. Doing without nothing. I'm not using anything here. Not using anything, any buffs and consumables or anything. We're gonna get 15 from the Raptor, which is the companion. We're gonna get 5 from the Watermelon and 3.5 from the Portobello. That's gonna put us on 88. And the other 2%, you can get it from the Forge box. You can get it from the Boom, which gives 6%. So the power is capped. Critical strike, we do gonna be like around 89 or something. So we're around 70 right now, 69.8. We're gonna get 12 from the helmet, 5 from the Devil's Precision, and we're gonna get a couple more ratings from the Wildstorm Elixir. Gonna put us around 89. So yeah, we're not gonna exactly capped with the critical chance, but it's pretty close. It's the closest I can get without trying to go for the squash soup. You can always use the squash soup and switch some of the companions around to get the 90. I think that's good enough. The critical severity, it's already on 83, and we have like 2 consumables that give 5 each, which is the Flask of Potency and the Wildstorm Elixir. So it's above cap. You could try to drop it down to get a little more critical strike. You could do that. I just don't do that because it's gonna overcap the critical strike anyway, because we are getting ratings from the consumables. And outgoing healing with 78 right now. We're gonna get 12 from the gear, the shirt and the armor. And that's it. We're gonna be capping all. We're gonna be using all the good stuff, debuffs, and additional outgoing healing above the cap. So yeah, let's get into the build. The helmet. I'm really confused about this helmet here because I don't know if it's broken only on Moondancer or in the whole game. I'm not sure. I tried it here on the training room. Even after I died, I could restack it. But I'm pretty sure I tried it in the dungeon. It was not restacking. I tried to remove it from the build, but yeah, I'm losing way too much critical strike because I'm now running the Divine Ages. And yeah, I'm losing critical chance from not using the Celestial Flesh. So that's why I kept uh, the helmet here for the 12% critical strike, of course. The armor, I like to go with this one, guys, just because it's a little more supportive. It gives everybody 2% critical strike. We do benefit from the 2% critical strike, which is a plus. I was not expecting that, but it's fine. It's not very efficient for us because we only get 90.5 stats from this armor. You could, if you don't have the companions, if you know, for some reason don't have all the stuff I do, we can try to switch it for Rib Cage, for example, that gives 15. I don't think you're gonna need the critical severity, but this is a more efficient chess piece. You could use the same thing, another chess piece from the hunts that gives 12% critical strike. It's the same bonus from the helmet, so you can change the helmet from for the new one if you want to do that to try to be more efficient with the piece with your pieces. I do like this one because it's very, you know, it gives the 2% to everybody, but it's also very reliable. It's always active. You just gotta be on the group. And if you drop that chest piece, you gotta have to find the outgoing healing someplace else, and that usually means you have to get outgoing healing companions, or you could maybe try to drop a debuff for the additional outgoing healing here. For the gloves, we do have the new ones. It's the straight upgrade from what we have in the Moondancer trial. We only get 2.5 forte more, which is a little more regen and a little more critical severity, which you don't need to be fair. For the weapons, we're using the Solarian. I do have the Void Touch ones, but I really don't like it. The drawback of it. We do. It's only worth it on the wild space, and it has to be a single target battle. It has to be a boss fight with no ads, which is insane because the only two places in wild space, the trial has a bunch of ads, and the dungeon, the first boss has ads, and the third boss has ads. So it's only useful in the second boss. Man, at least we look cool. At least we look cool. This astral effect is really cool. So Bastion's Law for appearance, not so good otherwise. We using Solari. We could use the Mastercraft, any form of it. I do have the really old ones. I don't suggest you go for that. Try to buy the new one. Or you can use the perfect weapons. If you're missing some stats, you can make use of it. You get 5% critical chance and 5% critical severity. Of course, you get those from the Demon Web Pits, the Master version. You could use the Weaver, which is another form of Masterwork that comes from Gizemnik, but not everyone will have that. You can use the new Masterwork as well, the Duergar, and yeah. I'm sticking with the Solera here because this is the one you might be using for the dungeon, for the sweet 12% critical, 12% total healing. That goes above the cap, and we get the movement speed as well, and it has an additional healing if the target is low health and you are full. So yeah, for the boots, we do have a straight upgrade from what we had in the Moondancer trial. We're gonna get the same thing, but we also gonna get 2.5 outgoing healing. We lose a little bit of regen outside of wild space, but I honestly don't bother. I don't bother at all. I think we do have enough regen, especially if you're using the Divine Glow for regening. I'm not even using Divine Glow, and I think it's fine. Another thing you can do, I haven't tested it. I'm probably gonna put a video on it after that, and gonna try to stack both Divine Muse and the Galactic Muse. I do think this is overkill, especially if you're using Divine Glow. So if you wanna stack that, make the favor to yourself, a favor to yourself, and don't use Divine Glow. At least try to use another power to take advantage of that. Yeah, we do have like we gotta run with really healing word. You can use Bastion, Intercession, Bastion, and Exaltation, which is what I'm using. So if you want to do the overkill, at least drop the Divine Glow. We don't need that much regen. Okay, there's very few times that you're gonna run out of divinity. Very few times. Especially the cleric. For the set, I'm keeping the debuffs, guys. You're gonna use the melee set, which is the highest item level debuff. Gives 5% additional damage for the DPS. Kind of helps us out a little bit with the dexterity, although we don't need the critical severity, but it's fine, I guess. Yeah. We do the Grace, which is another debuff. You don't get anything out of it, not even the ratings are good for us, but it helps us do the content faster, which means I don't have to heal as much. We're gonna go faster with the mechanics. You don't have to face a lot of mechanics, and so I will not have to heal as much, which helps. Everybody wins. The runs we're gonna go faster and smoother, and yeah, use the debuffs, guys. I don't know what to say. For the other ring, I'm using the Opal ring. Apparently, it was never broken. It was just not working here in the training room because you wouldn't count the ghosts as targets. And it needs to be healing 3 or more players. It has to be specifically players. So I put that back into the build, and yeah, I'm still able to cap everything with all the debuffs, all the additional outgoing healing that were going above the cap, and yeah, capping the stats without using the squash soup, which is a more expensive consumable. And not even the outgoing healing consumable that comes from the Demon White Pit campaigns or the Guild Stronghold, which is the Bat wing soup. The reason why I don't really use it, it's because if I run out of these, I'm not gonna go back to farm Demon White Pits. I do have a bunch here, I know, but it's because back in the day, Module 26 was really good. We did a bunch of hunts and everything. That's why I do have a bit of leftover currency. For the shirt, we're still using the Moon Dancer one. It's more reliable, I think. Let me see if I have the other one here. Let me grab it. There's a new shirt. There's a new shirt that comes from the new dungeon as well, that also gives outgoing healing. It gives a little more outgoing healing because of the ratings, if you can, if you have enough room for the ratings. It gives a little more outgoing healing, but it has this stupid effect of dividing the bonus by the number of enemies you're facing. So it only works if you're only facing one enemy, so it's annoying again. Very strange. I rather have the more reliable version, which it's a little less outgoing healing, but it's also giving me a little bit of forte, which helps a little bit with regen. I rather have this one. For the trousers, we're going for that. I don't even remember where this comes from right now. It's one of the module 26 maybe. It gives power. You can buy this from other players. It gives power whenever you have a player away from you or you are away from the group. 5% power, which is great, helps us capping out. For the enchantments, I do have 2 garnets, 1 cobalt on jade, defense, you use whatever you have. I usually have copies of those, the ones that I need, just in case I need to switch around to balance the ratings, and the utility is outgoing healing. For the combat, we do have the Celestial Divine Aegis, the brand new one. This healing goes above the cap. It gives shields to players, but you cannot even see the shield, so Don't bother with the shield, just use it for the additional outgoing healing. For the overloads, you use the Devil's Precision for the critical strike, and the other one is up to you. Yeah, you can use action points. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have, okay, action points here. You can use a ward depending on the enemy you're facing. For example, Demon Ward, helpful in the Demon map hits. It's helpful in the first boss of the new dungeon as well. You could use a Dragon Ward to help everybody. Just pay attention that I'm specifically mentioning those wards here because you help your allies with it. I don't bother using the wards that don't help the allies. Just those ones here. It comes from the guilds. You get the 10% damage reduction against this enemy type, and whenever you heal another person, you get the damage mitigation for them as well. So it's really good. I sometimes use this one, but I'm not sure if the healing my healing is increased. Again, I tested it on the ghost. It doesn't seem to be working, but it can be another one of those instances where it doesn't work on a ghost, but it works on a player. So yeah, if you don't have anything else, you just have spare of those here. Maybe you want to put that on if it works or not. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, you can let me know. But yeah, if this works, this is really good as well. 10% healing. It's really great. I think everybody knows at this point how to grab the boons here, but yeah, just grab the offensive ones that you need, which is a power, critical strike, outgoing healing, critical severity. The other ones you just grab enough to go to the next level. I like to grab the movement speed, of course, and the lingering effects, because you can use this in conjunction with the rejuvenation potion and the guild stronghold boon to share the potion, and you will trigger this effect on the DPS as well. So you also get a little bit of extra healing as well. I'll show you guys real quick, just in case. And yeah, in the higher levels here, grab Forte, outgoing healing, action point, and recharge speed. For the Master Boon, go with the Blast Advantage first because it helps you in the DPS with a little bit extra power, and after that, go with the Blast Resilience to help out the tank a little bit more, help out everybody, to be honest, with a little more defensive stats. Was that if you use the Rejuvenated Potion, you're gonna use it here, and you see you're gonna trigger the effect of lingering from the boons fairly easy. You're gonna see I procced all three of the effects, and if you're using this in conjunction with the boon from utility, group heal potion, it will trigger if they have that boon active on their character, it will trigger on them as well. So you get some extra healing going on if you need it. I don't normally use that, but yeah, it's just a thing. So if you guys want to know, if you're curious, I usually go with the Reviving Sickness here for defense. You go with the defense, and the offense, I go with the power. So for companions, I'm using Portobello da Vinci. It gives me 3.5 power, gives the DPS 3.5 combat advantage. It helps me, it helps them. It's a halfway compromise. I'm using a bunch of debuffs. I need some stats for myself, so this does the job. If you don't have the Portobello da Vinci, I suggest you invest at least in two, and those are Dritz and the Tutor. Dritz gives like always 3% more damage to the party because it's kind of, I think it's multiplicative of the damage that it gives to the party. And the Tutor, it gives 5% combat advantage to everyone. So invest at least on those, and eventually you get your hands on the Portobello because you can get it from the appointment event. After that, if you want to invest in more, Spine Devil gives 10% damage vulnerability on the enemy. The uptime is better than what we have in Succubus, and it helps if you're in a trial. You're probably gonna have to use one. Someone has to use one. And another one after that, maybe the Lion. Lion gives a little bit of damage and survivability because the damage you take is shared with the Lion if it's close to you. So it's good to have that on one as well. Scorpion, I do have it here, but nowadays it does so much damage that I think the DPS should have that instead of any other single target companion they use. I think it's more like a must for the DPS to have that, not you. But if you want it, it's good as well. For the equipment, I'm using the Seagull Stat Outgoing Healing. I know it's a little more expensive, but it's worth it. I'm using two single stat, and one from the outgoing healing and critical strike. I think this one is from the demon weapons, if I'm not mistaken, and this one is from the Moon Dancer campaign. It's more expensive, guys, but outgoing healing ratings are hard to come by. So you, even me, with a bunch of outgoing healing ratings extra that I have, even with the insignias giving outgoing healing, I'm not capping the outgoing healing ratings. So yeah, it's worth the investment in my opinion. For the enhancement, I'm using Gold Senses. That's the second best. The best is the armor break that reduces the enemy's defense, but the tank usually runs it. So we run the second best, which is Gold Senses. There are others that you should go for as well. In a trial, for example, you do have the advantage nullification, which reduces the enemy combat advantage by 7.5. You can use that in those scenarios where you try to mitigate some of that damage that the tank is getting, man, from Tank Buster in the Demon Epics or in the Moon Dancer. You can use that. That comes from the Portobello. Is the only companion that gives that. So not everyone will have access to that. So, but that's another reason to have the Portobello, perhaps. The other ones are slowed reactions that reduce the deflect, and where is the vulnerability, which reduces the critical avoidance, which you can use it as well. In a trial, we're probably going to have to use 4. I'm going to just ask the other supports what they are using. For the bonus, guys, I'm using the Raptor for the power. Outgoing healing from the Bullet. You can use the Yetis as well. It's a brand new outgoing healing companion. It's very, very cheap. It's going for $1 million now in the auction house. So best time to buy it now, in my opinion. For the defense power, I'm using the Soragiel with the Divine Judgment. Critical strike, critical severity. Using critical strike from Grump. It's a companion that came on a battle pass. It's not available anymore. I hope you guys got it. It was really good. And the Black Dragons Inside is another critical chance companion. I'm not sure if you can buy this in the Zen store, but you can buy it from another place. It's just a little more expensive. For the mount, guys, we're going to be using the same 4. Pegasus, Eclipse, T-Rex, and Swarm. I suggest if you're starting to have at least 2 and acquire the others as you progress. After that, you invest in any that you think it's worth it. Maybe balloons to get a little more support mounts. Maybe Protector's Hands it comes from the event. Wings are great. Carpet for grouping up ads to help the DPS do the runs faster. Yeah, anything that you think it's worth it. Equip power, Mystic Aura, Runic Aura, and Pack Tactics, guys. If you're starting the game, use anything that gives stats that are useful to you. Critical Strike, Power. There's no outgoing healing one, so Critical Strike, Power, or Critical Severity. We are using the outgoing healing color, we're using critical severity color, and the movement speed one. The other ones is up to you, whatever you want to use. You can use encounters at will. Encounters is usually best if you one day decided to invest in the DPS, so it's good to have the encounter one. And the other one that I use is the rough AD to help me out with the daily farming. For the bonuses, I'm using Shepherd's Devotion to get some defensive and movement speed buffs whenever I use the daily. And the dailies of the cleric are good, you're going to be using, so why not? Gladiator's Goal for movement speed is really good. Magistrate's Patience, which gives everybody defensive stats, which the DPS really appreciate, and tank might appreciate as well because it gives critical avoidance, which is not as easy to obtain. It's always up whenever it's available, whenever it's not on cooldown, because it triggers from the heals. If you do a critical healing, it will trigger. Mender Covenant to get more healer ratings. If you need more, you can use more. Just be mindful that the second one that you add here on the stable, you have half the value, so you're not going to get 1500, you're going to get 750. You can use Assassin's Covenant in place as well, which is a little bit worse because it doesn't give outgoing healing, but it gives some of his stats as well. And Lionheart Perseverancy is here more like a, I don't have anything else to put here, to be fair, and it gives the bonus there for the additional effect from the insignia. It's a defensive one. Whenever I get below a certain health, I get healed. It's good to have. Eventually, maybe I put another Gladiator's Ghoul to get a little more movement speed, which is always good. And yeah, you could use another Maiden's Covenant, you can use Assassin's Covenant, you can use Survivalist Expertise to get 5000 Forte to help out with a little bit more with the regen if you need it. Just be sure, just be careful that you're gonna get a penalty on your Resurrection Sickness, which means whenever you die, you're gonna lose more HP. So for the power, guys, at will, I'm using Scattering Light to proc all my debuffs. It procs everything, including the Vistani and the Grace. So whatever you're using, Scattering Light is your guide. If you're only using Apocalypse, if you're only using Merilith, you could use Sacred Flame because it's faster, so the uptime is going to be greater. But if you're using Vistani or Grace, you got to use a Scattering Light. For the other at will, I'm using Blessing of Light. This 10% increase in heals, it's total healing as well. It goes above the cap, so it's good. It only works for the initial heal in the healing word. It doesn't work for the full duration, and it works, of course, for any other healer I try to use, like the Tab Power, which is the Hand of Divinity, I think, and the Intercession and the Bastion of Health. It works with those. And it has some interactions with the Hallowed Ground. It increases the value of the heal of the Hallowed Ground, but it does not wear off. So just throwing that out there if you didn't know. For the encounters, using Bastion of Health most of the time. Most of the time I use Divine Glow, but lately I've been using Exaltation because I don't need that much regen anymore. So Exaltation gives 20% increased outgoing healing. This is total healing, guys, which means it goes above the cap. We have a bunch of outgoing healing sources right now, so we're increasing our healing even more. I don't think we need it, but just for the fun to have incredible amount of heal, you can use it. It works with the healing word. You just have to cast it once, and it's gonna be into effect for the whole duration. It works with the Guardian of Life. It works with the Hallowed Ground. Hallowed Ground. The problem with the Hallowed Ground, it seems that it doesn't really snapshot. So yeah, it's probably only gonna work until the buff expires from Exaltation, which doesn't happen with the healing word. You cast it once, you're gonna run out after 8 seconds. That Exaltation is gone, but since you cast during the Exaltation, it's gonna have the buff from the Exaltation. For the daily, we're using Hallowed Ground and the Guardian of Life, which are the best dailies of any available healer in the game. And Guardian of Life is just a massive amount of healing, and Hallowed Ground is just as powerful. It is a little more condensed because people has to be together, and the duration is not that high, but it has mitigation on top of it, so it's really powerful as well. For the features, using the one that increases my divinity pool. No, this one, Spend of Faith, and Hello Guide, another 5% healing, going above the cap. So you see, we do have a bunch of extra outgoing healing here, extra, total healing. 5% from the Hello Guide. We do have 20 from Exaltation, 9 from the new Divine Ages enchantment, 7 for the Opal healing. We do have like 12 if you are in a wild space using the Solarian. So we do have a bunch of outgoing healing sources, guys. So I'm gonna make a video on that to see uh, how worth it is to use the open ring. So be tuned. Another thing you can use here, if you don't have the outgoing healing companions, is the overflowing spirit. I've made a video dedicated to that in the past, and it gives 25% in outgoing healing, man. This is amazing. The condition is you have to have the divinity full. But what people don't understand is that the only thing that you gotta do is cast your powers at full divinity. So if I have that on and cast the healing word, throughout, I know I just spent divinity, my divinity is not full anymore, but the healing word throughout the whole duration is going to have the benefit of the overflowing spirits, because the healing word snapshots my stats. Same thing with the Guardian of Life. So this is a really good one, a really good feat to have if you're missing outgoing healing, and that's why I usually say the cleric is one of the easiest healer to pick up, not only because it's one of the strongest healers, when it comes to healing, but because he has this feat that gives massive amount of stats. If you think that you're not having the divinity up full at all times, use divine glow. Pair up that with the feat. Instead of bastion, you can go intercession, because intercession does not consume divinity. So we have divine glow, healing word, intercession with this feat, and you pair that up with that desperate players as well. Whenever you're not full, you get a benefit. You're gonna get a little more outgoing healing as well. So it kind of balances it out. So if you're starting, that's a good option to consider if you don't have the companions and everything. So for the feat, guys, we're using repeated blessings to extend the duration of healing word whenever we cast a heal on a person with the healing word on. Which basically, guys, whenever I catch a bastion, when it's a person using a healing word, whenever I catch any form of healing, is extended duration by 6 seconds. This is especially useful in mitigation situations, like you use a healing word, it works the Hello Ground, so the healing word never expires until the Hello Ground goes away. So it's really good for mitigation. It keeps the healing going and you conserve your divinity. For the second feat, using Battle Prayer to get the free cast of the Light of Divinity. Right, you see it's shining there, the tap power. I get a 1 second cast. Especially helpful to heal the tank quick. Third feat doesn't really matter, doesn't really help us in any way. 4 feet, Precision Guardian for the absolute crazy amount of heals with Precision Guardian. This is what makes the Guardian of Life stays forever in the field. So we take that. The other option would increase the damage if we use Anointed Army. The problem of that is that it's unreliable, because whenever the DPS triggers the healing effect of Anointed Army, the debuff goes away. So it's not really that useful in my opinion. I'd rather have the huge amount of heals that come from a Precision Guard. For the last feat, I'm using Angel of Life. You know, if you cast it like for 4 seconds here, you're gonna get infinite divinity. I'm not gonna be using that a whole lot, to be honest, but you can. So just another thing another trick that you have on your sleeve. If you're running out of divinity, try to cast that to have infinite divinity for a brief time. I know people I made a video about that. I know people like to not pick a less feat here, just so they can, trigger like the Light of Divinity with like 1.5 seconds. I'm show you here. 2.5 second cast. They think that by picking this last fee here, you increase the cast time of the Light of Divinity, but you don't. You just gotta, if you want to cast Light of Divinity, you don't want to cast the Angel of Life. You just gotta hold for 2.5 seconds. You know the whole bar equates to 4 seconds, so you just gotta have to hold it like for a little more than a half, like probably like 3 dots mark there. So there's no point of not running the last fee here. No point, in my opinion. And that's it for the build, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think not a lot has changed since the last build. We got the Divine Agents now to try to complicate things a little more and push the boundaries of the build a little bit more, but we're still able to have all the debuffs, and we do have all the extra algo and healing nice stuff that we all love. The gear pieces that we added is just straight upgrades from what we had in the last module, so nothing new there, obvious choices. And I hope this was helpful, guys, and I see you guys around. Take care.